inspired, fully engaged. You're tuning in to Reality with Vicki Gunvalson.
So I'm so excited to have all of you back today to Reality with Vicki. I'm super excited to have Karyn on this podcast. Karyn and I met about a year and a half ago. Probably about a year and a half ago. It was before the pandemic. I believe it was in March of 2020. I think, well, yeah, it was right around that time. But in any ways, you had said some really interesting things that I thought it'd be important to bring you back on. And I just want to kind of give the listeners, why I'm doing this podcast, The Reality with Vicki. I really feel like there's so much strength we can do with women. And I've got this Facebook page. I don't know if you've happened to see it yet. It's called Financially Fabulous with Vicki. And yesterday we did a vision board. And for me, it's super important to keep my vision clear. I'm going through a lot right now. So I don't know if you're going to see a little bit. My mom coming through, you had mentioned that, but let's talk just open and candidly. I do want to say you are a naturally gifted American psychic medium since birth. You rank in the top 1% of your field, boasting a 97% accuracy. And I'm going to tell the listeners and viewers how accurate you were a year and a half ago. And I said the significant details that you are able to communicate with your clients, including specific names, dates, and times, is what sets Karyn apart from the rest. And I just firsthand have to say, absolutely 100%. My colleague written this up of you. Let's go back to when we first met. And then I want to talk to you about the pandemic and how this has affected your business.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's so funny. I'm so bad with time. I just got to share that.
Me too. Time flies by as you get older, right? It just keeps going by.
Yeah, too bad your hips won't go by with it, So I don't think I don't cook. Everybody knows that. I hate cooking. So
You do.
I don't cook it in the kitchen. But it's kind of funny, not to backtrack, but was it about a year and a half ago that we connected?
About a year. I think it was actually March of 2020. So it's just going to be a year. Yep.
Yeah, time does fly. I remember some of the things, not everything, but I do remember some fun things. By the way, your mother's my ear. I just want to share that.
I love her and I miss her.
She said, I've been seeing you in your dreams. So when you go to bed tonight, Vic, you might want to look at Mom's picture and just say, I will remember seeing you. And you will over time, just so you know. You'll start to remember your out-of-body experiences. Some people call them dreams, but you'll remember that.
I had a very restless sleep last night. I even had to get up and take NyQuil, which is very unusual for me because I was just a mess. I got so much going on. But let's talk about when you and I first met and we were over a Zoom like this, and you're in the East Coast. I'm obviously in the West Coast. And you said something to me. Do you see a Hank in your life or in your future, or is there a Hank around you? And I'm like, nope, don't have any Hank. And I actually wrote things down during our meeting. And then about 2 months later, Brianna told me she was pregnant. And then obviously she just had her baby in November, but we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, and she never would think of the word Hank. But I had gone back to my notes on some of the things that you said back then. And one of the things was, you're going to have a Hank in your life. And here it was, you mentioning that. So you saw that vision. You said your mom is, here. And I mean, I didn't know of a Hank. And I never even told Brianna that because I didn't think it was important. So.
Oh, isn't it funny? Well, people don't realize it, but people on the other side, like as a psychic medium, I'll receive information in your aura, which by the way, your aura looks fabulous today.
It does.
All your got a lot of purple, a lot of white, which is your psychic, and a lot of yellow, which is you're thinking too hard. Take the day off. Your mother agreed with me.
My brain is overloaded right now. It's bad. So that's interesting. I'm closing out my emails. They just keep popping in.
Your mother said not to worry. She says brighter days are coming. I always tell people, this is where I see you. If you look at a Ferris wheel, you're here, you're going down, but you're on your way back up. So this is where you are. You'll always land on your feet in this world. And getting back to where your psychic information comes from, it comes from your aura or your mom. Because I remember now that you mentioned your mom said like a Henry or a Hank, the generic name. By the way, she loves that name. And incidentally, there's another baby coming on board pretty soon, she said. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Brianna couldn't even handle the 3, so just bless her heart. But she said she wanted to try for a girl, so maybe Maybe we'll have a girl.
Your mother's laughing about that one. Yeah. So, that'll be fun. Mom says the more the merrier, she just said too.
Yeah,
so.
she had 5 kids, so we come from a big family.
Oh, yeah, you do. She's laughing about that. She goes, I don't know how I did it. I just worked on car fumes, your mother just said.
She did. She was a great mom. Yeah. So how has this affected your business with the pandemic? You were already doing Zoom calls and Zoom meetings previously, right? So this is your new normal and there's nothing really has changed, right?
No, and every month I do clients by phone. I have clients all over the world, Italy to Germany to Israeli to wherever else. I mean, they're all over the world that way and all over on the other side. So I've always done phones during, right along since the inception of my business. I will say, oddly enough, 3 years ago, it was January. I remember in 2020, the market's going to drop significantly in March. And I'm like, great, goodbye time, because you and I both have this connection from the financial industry. I work in as well. And then I said, I see everybody out of work. And then I said, God, am I going to be all right? God said, you're going to be all right. I'm like, am I going to be all right, God? And God said, you're going to be all right. And I saw all this change. And it was even funnier. Last September, I remember saying, I'm going to have a really bad flu. And I'm pretty healthy. At the end of November, this woman comes into my office coughing, all over the place. It was a Wednesday night, and I had taken some time off for December. That Saturday, I woke up, my lungs were burning. I had all the COVID. My leg felt like it was going to blow up, which was probably a blood clot. So I was taking fish oils, And I mean, I didn't smell, I couldn't taste. And then my thinking was off too. And this went on to I want to say April.
Wow.
The energy, yeah, a lot of people complain about you're just fatigued, you can't think straight, and it was what it was. But like anything else, in America, we're survivors. Every generation has something, some kind of challenge, which is what life is all about. And
it is. We can't keep going up, 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 up. I mean, these last 10 years have been very blessed for most. I mean, the markets have been good and people have been working and from down, and so it can't keep going like that. So I was prepared for something to happen, just not this, from me and my business has greatly suffered. So am I going to be okay? Just tell me I'm going to be okay.
Yes. And actually before I came today, I saw you making some changes with your business, some good, good changes though. Yeah. But that just tells me how you reflect on things. You're flexible, which you need to be in business. And plus you have wisdom. Everybody wants to have wisdom. Not everybody can get it, but you have that. You're just a naturally, wise person. The name Fran comes up around you. Have you ever worked with a Francine or a Francis? It's a female.
She's actually the president of Bravo. Am I going to get my job back?
You have a good working relationship with a Fran. And I think at some point down the road, you'll do something, but it'll be different. Yeah, it's whoever this Fran is. Mom's giving me thumbs up. So tell Fran I said thumbs up.
Okay, I will.
Actually, you have a past life tie with her too, just as an FYI.
With Fran?
With Fran, yes. So you've worked with her in Europe maybe, I don't know, about 400 years ago. You had some kind of just a friendship. Yeah, you probably serfdoms, toiling the land, doing what everybody else does.
400 years ago. I was really...
Hey, you look really good though.
This stuff is crazy to me when I hear how you can go back in time and read and hear, like you said, you were getting ready this morning and my mom was talking to you because she knew that you and I had a connection. So,
your mother's laughing again. I love your mother.
She's such a good person.
Yeah.
She checked out way too fast. She didn't give me any warning. And
when the good Lord calls you, she goes, when the good guy calls, you got to go. So,
but she went exactly the she wanted. There was no suffering, no nothing. She put dinner in the oven and lay down on her bed. She said, I never want to be a burden to anybody.
And she still is, but she's still your mother. Keep that in mind, Mom said to tell you. So
she always used to say that. So how do you get your clients? Do you have to prospect, or is it word of mouth? Or, most businesses have to be entrepreneurial and they have to be prospecting.
I have to say I'm fortunate. Probably 98% of my business has always been word of mouth. I mean, I do TV appearances and I was doing my own production here, TV live audience, radio. So, I've, received business that way, but it's always been word of mouth, which is nice. Because I got to tell you, some of the, when I've done advertisements and whatever, men's and men, nothing really, came of it when I've done paid. So I'm fortunate that way. And word of mouth is the best word of mouth.
Sure is.
It's easier because it's an endorsement,
It sure is. So the listeners that are listening to you right now, so they may or may not understand what a medium is. So if you can explain it, because I learn every time from you something a little bit more about your profession. I think it's just an unspoken profession. People typically don't sit around and say, oh, I saw a medium today. It's just different. So I want to know more about you and your gift, because you really have a gift.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't really look at it as a gift. It's funny because it runs on my mom's side of the family. And growing up, my mom would say, oh, I saw, Uncle Frank, or I saw, a plane crash. And, my brother and I were 11 months apart. We thought, oh, that's just normal. And both her parents were like that. And the difference between a psychic and a medium, psychics will tell you past, present, and future. And then mediums will communicate to the other side. All mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums. And everybody has some ability one way or the other. The problem in the industry, though, there's no real regulation. So anybody can hang a shingle up and say, I'm a psychic or I'm a medium. One of the things that really stands out when you meet somebody and they claim to be a medium or a psychic, and they're like, oh, your Gram's here. Chances are maybe your Gram's there, but everybody probably has a deceased grandparent.
Right.
So sometimes it's not always true, or they may give you psychic babble. You need to love yourself more, or whatever, some kind of nonsense. I mean, I hear we
all need that, right?
Yeah,
it's a generic answer across the board with everybody.
Exactly. Eat chocolate. That's what I say in place of that. But so it's a funny industry, and there are a lot of good psychic mediums, but then there are a lot of them that aren't, and so it waters down legitimate people, like myself. I know I worked with James Van Praagh years ago on something, and we had somebody else there, and he kept saying, you were the real psychic on set, which was true. I mean, I think this person had a little bit of ability, but everybody can draw a stick figure. Not everybody's going to, draw Da Vinci. So there's a lot about that. The other thing too, sometimes people know how to read you, and they might say, oh, you want to talk all about your son, and then they'll just keep bringing that one point up all in all, or they'll tell you, here's another clue. Your son, you're going to write a book, really nonsense stuff. I'm like, yeah, you'll probably wake up and blow your bloody nose too,
Right. Yeah. And what set me apart was just some really interesting things about my business and Hank that stuck out. I don't have notes in front of me, but there were so many specific things that I was like, wow, you really are talking to my mother. It really made me feel like she was, and you're like, she's chatty. I'm like, yeah, that's my mom, but not all mothers are that way. So those of you that are listening, when you're thinking about, a medium, a psychic, and what my thing is, am I talking to the dead? Am I talking to the devil? Is this on the other side? Is going to bring in, demons and devils? And you reassured me that no, this is not the dark side, right? It's not the dark side.
No, and there's a big difference. And I always tell people, if you really believe in God, or you really believe that, you have positiveness around you, then there's nothing to fear, but fear yourself. And if anything, the evil side would want to interfere with your ability to communicate. And I tell people, when you think about it, when we all leave, you're still going to want to connect with your loved ones. And people do it in your dreams. How many times do you hear people say, I saw grandpa or dad in my dreams, or I just felt dad's presence, or I heard a song today, I was thinking about dad. Well, dad's connecting in with you, and clearly your parents, if they're truly here, they're not going to do anything evil. And besides, like I do house cleansings, I do big institutions when there's a lot of, evil or demonic activity. Oh yeah, I've worked on that. But again, look, God brought everybody in, good and bad. So what do? You put the God number into it. So if you run across a demon, I surround myself with God's way. Like God created that demon, God can take it away. So that's where my faith is, And even in the Bible, you'll hear, behold, John saw a vision, or behold, Moses saw a vision. He was receiving information, or they were psychically. So
that's why I want to set people like, rest assured, you're not going into a bad place, because I'm a Christian. I told you that, and you said you are too, and you were raised that way, and you just have this gift. So, when I look at, a lot of people are in turmoil right now, and I sold my house, my big house. I've been there for 25 years. I don't know where I'm moving at. I put an offer in on a house yesterday, and there was 6 offers all over California. Right now, the market is crazy. So I feel like very unrest, because my home is my haven, and I take pride in my home. So now I'm kind of feeling anxiety, and I'm not sleeping, and I have this place now in Puerto Vallarta, and it's just a lot going on. My daughter's moving, and I just keep thinking, okay, this is a season we're all in. This COVID thing will eventually go away, and we will resume life back to normal. You've got to stay stay steadfast, and you have to buckle up, and you got to be strong, because the divorce is on the rise. I had a divorce attorney on a couple weeks ago, and he was saying, divorce people are not compromising. They're not understanding the fear that each other have. And so I want people to understand this is a season, and you are a great resource to give them the sense of calm, that, that everything's going to be okay. This is a chapter of a big book that we're in right now, right?
Exactly. I couldn't have put it better. And, that's the whole thing. We've lived through pandemics, viruses peak and they fall, peak and fall. We're getting to a point where it's closed. During the fall, it started to, was going down, then it reclined. It is what it is. And I tell people, no panic. This is actually an opportunity, too, to reevaluate. Because let's face it, we're all on a hamster wheel. So
Right.
This pandemic, in a strange way, if you want to make lemonade out of lemons, has given us an opportunity to say, who's really my friend? Who's somebody I really have their back for? And for relationships that are bubbling and unfortunately going into divorce, well, that says something too. Maybe it's time for you to move on. You either grow together or you grow apart.
Right.
But I think it's a good way for us to step back. What is our priority? Before parents are home, kids are on their, phones or, playing with their Game Boys at the table. Nobody's really having conversation. Now it's like, we're getting back to, what's really important. So as much as it's been tough and, it's unfortunate some people have passed, for us that are left behind, cherish those moments, just realize that, we've always come through it as Americans. I mean, we're hardworking and, we just have that, that
Right.
resilience. And we also come to earth, and people don't realize it, for a challenge. Life is a game, and, it's an opportunity for us to test our character and to build it up. This too will pass. What goes down comes up, what goes up goes down, like the market, as we've seen that. So, this too will move forward.
So listeners, I want to give you all hope, right? That,
So at the end of time, we're coming out of it.
yeah. And so I want to talk about how people can contact you and what your process is. So you would set an appointment up through your office, and then they would be able to log in and do a Zoom meeting or a phone call. And then you actually don't know much about them prior to that, right? So talk to me about the process.
Oh, I love that question, because people will say, "Oh, you Googled me." I'm like, "Yeah, well, maybe some things to be Googled, but not not if you're having an affair, not about
Right.
future things, not about things that you've never told anybody, maybe your best
Right.
friend from like 30 years ago, or other, or certain dead people." It's funny because I did a reading, was it last week sometime, and I had somebody that connected indirectly to this person, but there was like this big triangle, and this person never would have expected this person to come in, but they acted as a messenger. So you never know what you get. I have no control over who, what, or where. That's why I always tell people, again, your information comes from your aura, comes from deceased loved ones, comes from the universe or your guides. And then halfway through, if there's something that, we need to talk about, or, hasn't come up or whatever, we'll address it. But as far as finding me, they can just go to the website, KarynReece.com. And my parents were not hooked on phonics because they spelled both my first and last name differently. And it's KarynReece.
Got it.
Reece.com.
So you can't predict the future. You can just say who's talking to you from the past, right?
I predict the future too, like I predict like little Henry, because I see things all the time. I'll tell you the way I found out I was psychic. I never realized it. My brother and I, again, oblivious. What's a 4 and a 5-year-old? 2 years old, I had to have this woman, Margaret, come to my bed. And my mom would say, "Oh, there's a train crash." The next day, there's a train crash, or I saw a dead Uncle Frank or whatever. But I had been given visions for probably 3 to 4 weeks that my father was going to just drop dead. And I didn't say anything. I'd go to bed, I'd have the dream. And I'm 7 at the time, second grade. I'd wake up, I'd have the vision. I'd be in school and I'd get this vision. How when you're daydreaming, that's how I get my psychic information. I'll see like pictures or a video in my mind's eye. And about, 3 weeks later, 2 days before Thanksgiving, my father went to bed, never woke up. He dropped dead of a stroke, and he had just had an exam. He was in great shape.
Wow.
He was thin weight. He was a nice, tall Viking, and very smart. His side of Benson members. And I remember my one gram when she came to visit, with us. Oh, I'd seen him laid out in a blue casket. That was the other thing, which I thought was interesting. And my brother and I both said, "Grandma, we had this vision," and it was about within the week of his passing, and we never went to service. And she said it was just God's way of, letting you know, preparing you. Exactly. But throughout my life, I've always seen also, I remember predicting a boyfriend when I was 5 years old. He was a doctor. I could see his face, and I met him when I was 22. And I remember all sorts of just different things like that. So, and it's great for job interviews. I always tell people, if you can tune in with your intuition, if you get that gut feeling, you're going with it. Like, you get your gut feelings a lot.
Yeah, I sure do. And I don't always follow them, but I'm now more in tune.
Yeah.
When I think I told you last time we talked, when I was dating Brooks, and I had a gut something wasn't right, but he swooned me over and he was like, baby, we got this. I love you so much, And I was like, I was hooked, But my gut was telling me, it wasn't, something was off. And I couldn't put my finger on it because he was so charming and so kind to me and so loving. But my gut, that darn gut doesn't lie, does it?
No, it doesn't. And that is the base for most people with your intuition, because you can receive it with your gut. You can feel it. You can see it, smell it, taste it, whatever. And I always tell people, gut is the base psychic, line. Always listen to it. Because in our head we get all, or we try to reason it out, or your heart gets pulled, but you knew it. And every time you don't listen to your gut, you're like, oh, I should listen to that because I just knew it, which again is your intuition. But
so crazy. And you people's like, oh, you didn't follow your gut. And like, what is a gut? It's not a brain. It's just the insides of your body. It's connecting with your brain. And I sometimes go, okay, well, shut up down there. I want to do it this way,
I want to eat chocolate. Exactly.
I know. Well, is there anything else that you can think of that you can help the listeners understand more about a medium? Because it's still very unclear. I mean, I'm still do you hear voices all day long? Like you heard my mother today I'm
Yes.
sure you're busy all day long, but now you hear my mom, Joanne, talking to you.
I was saying, where's the end connection? Anyways, yes, I hear voices in my head. Never tell your doctor that. He might have you on a script.
Right.
But a lot of times, like, I'll see people walk in my living room. Oh, you're going to talk to my daughter, or in my dream state, I've gone out of body and I've connected with people or their loved ones. It happened last week. I was connected with somebody's brother who had passed on, and he said, you'll talk to my sister today. So, you see him. I could be driving. I'll have somebody in the car. Sometimes I see him really clear. Other times I feel like I need to put my glasses on, because it takes a lot of energy for people on the other side to connect with us. They're in a different frequency. They always look healthy, the healthiest that they've ever been, usually around the age of 30. Their skin's very bright and translucent. They think clear, no aches and pains, Yeah, and one thing, we all go out of body at night. Most people don't remember those experiences. So you can say, I will remember my out of body experience. You'll connect with them. But one thing you'll notice when you're out of body, like if you have a chronic neck ache, you won't notice it because you won't have it. You're in the best of the best of.
Wow.
Yeah. So I can turn it on. I can turn it off. I usually ignore it, whether I'm getting stuff psychically, which I got some stuff earlier about my life. I get that all the time. People on the other side, spirit people, really don't like to be called dead people, but it's kind of funny.
Right.
Actually more alive than we are.
So when you say, for going back to Brianna for a moment, you say that you see her with another child. So that's future. So you not only can you see the past,
Yep.
Or speak to the deceased, you're seeing the future through the deceased. Like, that's confusing to me.
That's a good question. When I'm communicating, or when I'm with somebody doing a session, I'll see a little television screen drop down around their face, for example, and I'll see something coming up in their future, like maybe a new job or a baby, something like that. Or I might see something about the past. So I see like a little videotape, as well as maybe little pictures about the past, present, or future. And then sometimes their loved ones will chime in and say, well, my granddaughter's looking for a new job, and I'm getting it both ways. Or tell my granddaughter, get rid of her boyfriend, because he's an idiot, so you'll get that too. So TV screens for, past, present, and future psychic, and then dead people that tell me about what they've done or what their granddaughter's doing, or, they're kind of nosy, just saying, sometimes you get really crazy stuff too.
So because we haven't died yet, right? You and I haven't died yet. I think I'm still here. So you're saying when we pass, we're going to be able to communicate to the people that are living through somebody like you.
Yeah, and also in dreams too. Like when you pass over, you'll continue, communicating with your children. And they may say, geez, I really have been thinking about mom today. And then what really is happening, you're probably there trying to talk to them. A lot of times people are picking up loved ones without realizing it, and suddenly in a shift of thought. So say you're getting ready for dinner and you're doing whatever, then you suddenly think, of your mom's actually probably communicating to you, but you're hearing it in your frame of reference. It's this very subtle energy that you're dealing with, because the energy, they're in a different frequency. So you're like a radio sender and a receiver. So a lot of times people
Crazy
messages. Oh yeah. You might see something that reminds you, you're thinking of Joanne, and like you're at the store and you're like, I see, this picture of a rose, and mom always liked roses. It's your mom saying, hey, you know what? I'm still here. And by the way, she keeps saying, and I am still here, still your mother.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because, when I started this Financially Fabulous with Vicki Facebook group, I don't know if you have an opportunity to see it, but I feel like when we are looking at our life right now, whether you're middle age, older age, or younger age, looking at our whole spiritual life, our financial health, our physical health, and I want to incorporate you into this spiritual health, because I think that a lot of us want to push away those signs that we get or those gut feelings, and we want to stuff it in a can and put a top on it. And you're helping me reinforce that those feelings that we get sometimes are really factual. They're not just, things that come in for no reason, right?
Exactly. Always go with those. And what you can do too, I tell people, write a journal, like I was thinking about whatever, Red Shoes. I get in my car, I hear the song Red Shoes by Elvis Costello, or I, look up, I see red sandals and it's winter out. And even though they may seem like silly little things, you're not always going to get a wow type of impression. Start paying attention to the subtleties, and you'll find over time, you'll build up your psychic abilities. Like I've used it a little bit in the stock market.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The journaling is super important to me. And those that have listened to my podcast and have followed me on this Facebook group, to me, journaling is therapy. And when I'm struggling, where I'm going through a little bit of angst right now, or angst, or whatever the word is, I'm not settled because I don't know where I'm going to live. My daughter's unsettled. Like my family's a little bit confused right now with living arrangements and careers, and she's moving her job, and just a lot going on. And I feel like when I put it on paper, it gets it out of my brain. So if I can state like, okay, Lord, I'm struggling with this, or I'm just talking to me, okay, Vicki, you've got to put this on paper because this is the only way that you're going to be able to wake up tomorrow.
Oh, totally. And you can ask questions before you go to sleep, hey, God, mom, or whoever, should I buy this house or that house? By the way, at the right time and the right things, I see a beautiful house coming your way. Just give it up. It's all working out. And we're coming out of a Mercury retrograde.
Okay. I need to talk to you about that. So I just put an offer in yesterday on a house, and it's in Newport Beach, and I never wanted to live in Newport Beach, but it is in Newport Beach, and it is a condo, but it's its own house attached to somebody else. Why I liked it was because it was lock and go. But when I put my offer in, there were 7 other offers coming in, and I don't know what they're doing, but my house is sold. It's closing in 2 weeks. But, there's nothing that I've liked. And I opened up this door, and it spoke to me. That I could see the ocean. It was all brand new inside. And I was like, okay, I can see myself here. So I'm visualizing my reality. So I think that's what the vision board is. And,
yes,
really speaking through this and journaling is, Lord, put me in a place that I can call home, that I can lock and go to work and not feel scared, or, going to Mexico and having a home that's taken care of. I don't need the pool and the grotto and all that stuff anymore. I just don't. I want to simplify it.
Well, less is more. And, the key thing is thoughts are things. Thoughts are definitely things. So, what we put out to the universe, it will come back. And in your case, you want something like this or better, which is what
I want to be proud of it. I want to be proud of where I come home,
And you want ease, you don't want all the less is more. The older you get, the less you want, you've been there, done that. And for you, it's all about clarity. And I got to say though, doors will always open up for you, Vicki. So don't worry. When one door closes, there's going to be another one that will always open up.
I always worry, Karyn. I'm always worrying. I'm the worry bus. It goes with me everywhere. It's like, stop worrying, Got
a technique for that one too. Most people worry, but what's the worst case scenario? Always look at the worst case, but you'll have a plan to get out of it. They want more money, by the way, the house, because
I had to go up.
Yeah, so you have to
go up a little bit. So
yeah,
but I think I got it. So we'll see.
Is there a Pam connection? Do you work with a Pamela?
One of my friends is Pam, but I haven't seen her in a while due to COVID.
Oh, good friend of yours, correct?
Pardon me?
A good friend of yours?
Yeah, I would say she's a good friend.
Yeah, your mother just said you should give Pam a call because she started talking about business. So you may want to give her some help with her finances.
Oh.
Yeah, you tell her mom said so. Mom's got your back. Just
Good.
saying. She's laughing, but I think you're going to do really well. When it comes to worry, though, everybody has that, and including myself. So try to isolate, worry. Think of it as the Mucinex ad. That's what I tell people. And that worry is that little fellow, that like gross little thing, and you put them in a garbage. Just say, I can't deal with you now. I'm putting you in the garbage. And like as we just spoke, as you have. As you write down everything, your goals and what you need to have happen, and read them before you go to bed. In the morning, usually you'll have an idea how to work that out, or you're putting it, into motion. So
Right.
You're right. A quick question. Do you eat meatballs a lot or hamburgers? What is your mother?
I love meatballs. I haven't made them in a while.
Okay, make a meatball. Your mother says I don't eat meatballs, but she says make the meatballs. She loves her meatballs. You make good meatballs.
I do. And I like to put the cheese in the middle of it and wrap it and cook them slow. And they're just so creamy and good. And I know.
She's laughing.
My mom's a fabulous cook, or was a fabulous cook. So I inherited that from her. Very beautiful.
So lucky. She says make the meatballs comfort food. So there you go. Add your spice. The meatballs. It's going to work out. More money for the house, but you know what? I just see, things are starting to roll. A little slow, but they're starting to roll.
Yeah.
Don't let worry bother you. Here's a prayer that everybody can use. It's a very powerful prayer, and you can use it on yourself or somebody else. But I always say,
write it down.
Yep, write it down. And this came by way of a friend of mine. And what you do is you say, today I dedicate this day to you, God, or God, I dedicate this day to you. Let everything that comes to me, let it be from you. Put your request in and then say amen. Now, if you're saying it for somebody else, today, God, I dedicate this day to you. Let everything that comes to Vicki, let it be from you. Please grant her this beautiful house or a better house, amen. And that's it. And just give it up to the universe. Simple, easy. Yeah, God's pretty cool. I've talked about. Yeah, well, good. One other thing I have to say, I saw you doing a lot of involvement in the future. Fundraising for sick children, fundraising for things like that. Just really nice humanitarian and altruistic types of fundraising.
I'm really attached to the Boys and Girls Club in Anaheim, and all these, they're motel, we call them motel kids. They're living in motels and they don't have food, and their parents are working and leaving them in these motels. So one of my friends, Bruno from the White House, feeds them, and they go on a bus over to his restaurant, spaghetti dinner, green beans, and people donate spaghetti and spaghetti sauce and all that to his restaurant. And due to the pandemic, the restaurant's been closed. So he's given his life to these children that are latchkey kids. They don't have a meal. And especially with this pandemic, a lot of the parents are getting abusive, and there's, a lot of fighting going on, and he's been able to really give them some comfort and home. So I just need to jump back into that. I've just been distracted. No excuse. So that's.
It'll come at the right time, but your mom's going to make them. I saw your kids and pets and just good causes. I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
We're all there to be, connect. We're all connected like a spider web.
Yeah, we got those who are much given. Those who are much given is those received. Wait, what's the Bible verse? I'll find it in a minute. So those who much are given, they're expected to, give back. And it'll come to me in a minute. I just don't remember the verse, but it's so true. When you are given a good life and you are working hard for it, you need to bless others, or you will not bear the fruits of your labor.
Always pulling our person up, as long as they have the intention, but absolutely what you're doing, you're an angel on earth, big time. And so is Bruno.
Good. Well, we're going to, you and I are going to set up something else. I'll set it up with your staff. I would love to hear more about me personally, and I didn't want to really put that out there to the universe right now, to the world, but I just want to thank you. I know you have a podcast too, and talk about your podcast and the guests that you have coming on. I know I was on.
People loved you. I have to tell you, that was one of our favorite podcasts that Alexa.
Oh, good.
Great feedback on that. And it was just such a great.
It sure was.
Yeah, and I think people had a chance to see the other side of you, you know, because you're so genuine and real, but, you know, there's certain aspects of being, and we just had such a good fanfare, but it's called On Air with Karyn Reece and Alexa Zappia. So,
Good.
you know, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what's coming on the podcast.
Never know. You never know. Well, you and I are going to stay in touch. I want to thank you for being part of my reality with Vicki, because you are part of my reality. And I wish you the very best. And when I get back out east, I want him over and eat you and we'll dinner. Okay. My treat.
Yeah, I'll wait for that. No, my treat.
Okay. Okay, good. Take care. Okay. Have a good week.
You too. God
Don't
bless.
forget to whoop it up.
Okay.
Okay. I know. We'll see you later. Say hi to my mom.
Mom said I love you. Make
I
the
love
meatball.
her. Thank you.
God bless you. Thanks.
You too. Bye-bye.
Now, glutathione is a big word, but it's the body's own master antioxidant. So it's a scavenger for free radicals, for bacteria, and what's relevant now, viruses. This is new to the marketplace. There's no other product on the market that has the ingredient NACET.
And basically NACET increases the production of that glutathione that is in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system and keep it strong. Elevated sense of well-being. Supports muscle strength and endurance. Cognitive function. Powerful liver support. Energy. Helps blood sugar regulation. Superior bioavailability of key ingredients.
One of your best defenses against COVID is a strong immune system. Taking GSH Plus as a daily supplement does all that. And now we have the product out on the marketplace.